Welcome to the Art of the Jam, the show where all the music you hear is created spontaneously right here in front of you. I'm Steve Voorhees. We have Josh on keys, Jason on guitar, Brad on drums, and our special guest today, Denson Angulo.
Denson Angulo.
Denson, it's so good to see you. Denson and I were in grad school together at the U, though he was on his doctorate and I was just on my master's.
Cool.
But I haven't seen him since. Not really. He's teaching now there at the U. So
That's right.
He also is in Jazz Vespers Quartet.
Mm-hmm. Jazz Vespers Quartet, Salt Lake City Jazz Orchestra, and then I just started a new band called Chromium 3.
I was looking that up. Yeah. Chromium 3.
And it's very improvisatory music. Yeah, so perfect for your show.
Yeah. How long has that been going?
About 3 months. Yeah, so it's pretty new.
Nice. On the classical side, also Sinfonia Salt Lake.
That's right.
And you have a bass concerto written just for you, don't you?
Yeah,
for
so
January next year?
SymphoniaSaltLake.org is the website. It's a chamber group in Salt Lake City, and the Salty Cricket Composer Consortium wrote a commission, and it's a bass concerto, so it's pretty cool. Yeah, and that's written by Devin Maxwell. He's writing it.
Nice.
I just got the part yesterday, and it's pretty hard. So I'm looking forward to figuring that out.
Good. You teach a lot.
I do.
Yeah.
I teach at the University of Utah. That's sort of my flagship assignment. I'm the bass teacher there, but I also coordinate the small jazz ensembles. So anything from a duo to a nonet.
Nice.
And then I direct the second jazz band, which is a nonet. Yeah.
And then your private studio and all that.
Private studio. Sometimes I
love
teach,
the name of it.
Yeah.
The Densonian Institute of Bassology.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was a nickname given to me by my good friend David Halliday, who is the king of giving nicknames. Yeah. So, I also teach just a few jazz studies classes as needed. So I've taught jazz history, jazz improvisation, just whatever they need.
So if you have a good player who just has never improvised before, and, I run into this a lot, especially people who've only read their charts or whatever, maybe not even chord progressions. How do you get them started in creating their parts on the spot, their improvisation?
When I'm working with new students who want to improvise, but they've never really experienced it, one of the biggest obstacles that I have to help them get through is actually fear. Fear of making a mistake, fear of sounding bad, fear of not knowing what to do. So I try to boil down all the variables for them. And I actually do this with my kids. My kids are little. I have 6 children. Some are old, some are young. And with my little kids, my son, who's 3, loves to play the piano. But of course he has no clue what he's doing. So something that I'll do with him is tell him, just play the white keys. You can play anything you want on the white keys. But what I will do underneath what he's doing is play an appropriate chord progression in the key of C or whatever. And the look on his face, he sounds like $1 million to him. Like, whoa, I'm doing it. And he's just going ding dong ding dong ding dong.
Sure. Yeah.
But it sounds really cool when I'm going underneath him. And he's playing beep boom beep boom beep boom, And he's like, wow, I can play. And it's really cute. So if I can take that 3-year-old mentality and tell an adult, listen, you will sound good if you trust yourself and trust in the harmony that's happening underneath you, and just start simple, diatonically.
Sure.
It's getting through that, oh, am I going to sound like crap, sort of phase that really opens up the ability to improv. Because we're improvising right now, you and I, in the key of English.
Yeah.
And because we didn't practice this, we don't have a script right now. But because we have a common mastered language, we can communicate. Well, it's the same kind of thing with improvisation, whether it's, the styles and all that kind of stuff is sort of irrelevant on the onset. It's trying to get the notes that sound right to the player, And to a 3-year-old, all the white keys are all right. Everyone is correct, so it doesn't really matter. So then they get used to playing single notes to, clusters because he's 3, and he starts playing with rhythms, beep beep, won't, but up, beep beep, or whatever. And all of my kids have done this, except for my 18-month-old. She's not quite there yet. But it's cool to see their sort of eyes light up and that confidence start to build within them that they can improvise. So when I get a student who's 25 and never done it and is a violist, that has never, or a cellist or some, classical musician, classical trumpet, has never played jazz ever. I start with, okay, let's just try to play notes that sound good to you right now. And then from there, I get into sort of the traditional language of improvisation in like the jazz realm and stuff like that, because that has influenced American music for 100 years now, more than 100
and it
years.
has its own syntax.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if you listen to pretty much anything now, it has evolved from jazz or blues somehow, some way. Yeah, so that's kind of where we go from that.
So breaking through that wall of fear is kind of the first really big hurdle.
Yeah, really is. Especially in adults, especially in adolescents, actually. Because teenagers are super freaked out about how people view them, I have adolescent children, and one of whom is a bass player. And I tell her, man, just play something that feels good on any notes you want. It doesn't matter. Make it feel good, and that helps her a lot. And she's actually a pretty good bass player, so it's cool.
Nice.
If you can break through that fear. One thing that I'll do when I do like a workshop with a high school group, like whether it's a combo or a jazz big band, is I'll write on a piece of paper, what everybody's afraid of. And I write the word sucking. Okay. And I don't tell them what it is. Now you'll know because I'm giving you the secret. And I say, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? And people raise their hands. Oh, I don't want to sound bad. Or I'm afraid of making mistakes. Or I'm afraid of this or afraid of that. And I turn it over and let them see the word sucking. They're afraid to suck at music. Just being bad in some way or another. And if you could just get that out of your system, it's okay to make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. I was sight reading a rehearsal before this, and man, I sucked. But I got through it, and it was fine. Made some good music once I got into it. But if I'm super nervous or whatever, it holds you back a lot. And that goes for so many different things in the human existence. Whether it's the first time you dive off the high dive as a kid, or go down the slide, or go on a roller coaster, or drive your car when you're 16, driver's ed, or any of that kind of thing. It's like people make mistakes. If you can get through that fact, then it's so much easier to just let go and enjoy yourself. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Sure.
Yeah. Why don't we play?
Okay. I'm thinking here, this thing.